I was thinking. You know, millennials, or if you want to sound like a white-coated maniac who's been breeding mice with the idea of one day rodentising NATO like infantry, Generation Y, have been getting a bit of bad press lately, well I mean since they were born. And as someone who's too young to be Generation X and too old for Generation Y, consider me Gen X with an extra chromosome, I kind of feel millennials with their black-rimmed glasses, quavered hair and shiny, shiny faces need some sort of defence. I mean from someone who can string a sentence together, not one of them, those attention-deficient sausages. People say they're self-obsessed narcissists, consumed by images of their own faces, enabled by technology and the emerging norm of hosting 3,000 photos of yourself impersonating a sassy mallard. Doomed to destroy society in the next 30 years when they realise, yeah, you can laugh at the way Marlon Brando aged, but he didn't live on a diet of sugar-filled alcohol pops and trans fats when he was a youth, so I guess things aren't rosy for anyone, are they, dickend? They also say, again facilitated by technology, this new generation of, as a pirate might are, fine young shite has the attention span of a hummingbird on methamphetamines. My hands are pretty weird, aren't they? Oh look, vapour trails. Flicking between my face and Gimmer, it's the first generation to exist with access to 1,700 channels and no inclination to actually watch anything without checking their little portable cocaine tray to see what Dale's had for dinner. Really, Dale, pot noodle again, I'm flagging you as a self-harm risk. Ask someone whose teeth look like mine, I'm English don't you know, but not from inbreeding, but age, and they'll tell you these moaning, crying, entitled flecktods don't know how good they have it. They don't want to work, not in real jobs. They want to sit in their flatback apartments in their Saved by the Bell panties and type emails with beer. They want to be YouTubers, micro-celebrities, independent artisanal key shop owners. Who wants to be a miner anymore? Who wants to be a loan manager or cafe server? These millennials are the most entitled and least deserving generation there's ever been. Well, apart from all the hippies, but that was a subset. All of that is true, but what I've described isn't Generation Y, it's human beings, and young human beings more specifically. Are the youngsters a vacuous barrel of offal that think they're smart, but are in fact nothing more than loudmouth caricatures shouting about things like they read Thus Spoke Zarathustra for the first time in one sitting last night? Yes, they are, and they always have been. They were 100 years ago, and they will be in 100 years, although their behaviour may be somewhat quelled by the radiation and the constant tribal warfare for scraps of food thanks to the inevitable global destruction brought to us by this generation. You see, the only thing that makes this generation different are circumstances. My great-granddad was part of Franz Ferdinand's bodyguard. Good job, great-granddad. My grandparents lived through the Second World War. My parents lived through economic uncertainty and mutually assured destruction, and now, well, comparatively at least, we're not all going to die at any moment. Still holding out for that all-consuming solar flare, though. You know, I hate to sound like an alter ego or anything, but while I may not wish it, I have to concede that this generation would be quite different if they'd had to endure some good, hard campaigning.
Young people make excellent soldiers because of their lack of real awareness about their own mortality and their inherently low value. Throw the fodder forward and keep the old guard in reserve. No one rots with me.
But you know, the sort of undesirable traits we're constantly told millennials have can't be blamed on shit happens and the Kanye West effect. I mean, look at the parents, Gordon Gekko and the Fresh Prince. It wasn't this generation or even the last that started to obsess over keeping in vogue or buying badly running refrigerators. Only 2 more payments left on this baby, and it's a smeg. To quote Rick Mail, you know who's going to get blamed for this, don't you? The kids. Fine, they can get a shag with a swipe of a finger. And their subgroups are now uniting across the land thanks to the internet, so that live-action roleplay has become a bankable industry instead of infantilism acted out by non-connected groups of basement-dwelling man-children. But I kind of feel sorry for the new generation because they seem to share everyone else's opinion of them. They are, and not to confuse what I'm about to say with more intelligent, more educated than any previous generation, and they must know of the bastardized future they and their children are set to inherit. Bill and Ted 3, anyone? What's worse than all that is it's already begun. The future is now, the dream we all dream of. Millennials are already criticising the newer sproutlings of their own generation, and so it goes, each generation worse until the Morlocks are coming up every Sunday to suck on our fatty brains and read the Racing Post. What comes after selfie sticks and online personal branding? The legitimising of attention-seeking at any cost and people who appear in their own online videos, the collapse of social respect in wake of massive self-adoration, and people who can no longer be or see that I am taking the piss. Still, if history has told us anything, it's that such a decadent generation usually precedes a major war, so maybe that can put everything back to us being thankful for repetitive strain syndrome and boiled sweets. Just a thought. By the way, millennials, you thinking nerds are cool is the reason why schools need more canings.